What is a psychological trick you know to really duck with someone? Silence. It's a very effective interview technique, because as humans we are conditioned to break silences in conversations. I had a conversation with my former boss, who was kind of a psychopath. He started by saying he needed to ask me a question. Then he made a bunch of statements and then just stopped and was silent. I assumed his question was implied by the statement, so I started to respond to the statements. He cut me off and chastised me for interrupting when he hadn't asked the question yet. Then he did the same thing. Several statements, then silence. Then I start to talk and get yelled at. He did this 3 times before finally asking a question. I thought he was absolutely nuts. Later I learned this is a technique people use to establish dominance. When you are talking to someone, if you interrupt them and say walk with me in a busy tone and start walking away, they will walk with you and continue the conversation without hesitation. You can lead them wherever you want really. There was this young man who was harassing one of my employees, but I didn't know about it until I fired him. He came in one day after being fired and was trying to talk to her while she was checking people out. I walked over and said, "Hey, let me show you something." He walked away with me. I said, "It's over here," and we walked to the door. I said, "Almost here," and we walked out the door. I then told him never to come back in the store again. I was surprised he just willingly walked with me all the way out. Tell someone you want to play rock paper scissors as you're both getting ready to count down. Compliment their shirt or something to throw them off and start counting down. Then, you pick rock. When you interrupt someone's concentration during the game, they automatically go to the most recent thing in their head, which will be scissors, rock, paper, scissors. It works every time until they realize you're ducking with them. When meeting someone for the first time, say oh hello again and shake their hand. Even if they go for like a high five, transfer it into a handshake. They will not ask for your name or any information. They will just think that you definitely know them from somewhere and they just forgot. It's not really psychological, but let's say someone is 25 or 30 feet behind me while we're both walking down a hallway. There's a 90-degree corner coming up. I round the corner, then run really quietly so I'm really far ahead of the person behind me. Then I walk my normal speed again. When they round the corner, they're surprised to see how far away I am now compared to how normal I was walking. You can also do the opposite. Wait until they are about to turn the corner, then start walking again and they will be confused. Especially in my teenage years, it freaked people out to not react angrily to their tries of bullying, insulting you. At some point I even agreed with them on certain topics. That got them extremely confused. Edit. Typo. Point out something that someone does all the time. One of my co-workers would leave the office at the end of the day and forget his headphones. So he'd leave the office and have to run in again to grab them. I told him I noticed he always forgot his headphones, and how he's self-conscious about it and never forgets them anymore. That actually seems more helpful than duckful. I worked with a friend who kept a 12-pack of Mountain Dew under his desk. For a while I'd sneak extra cans back into the box. Not a lot, and just enough that he was sure he drank more than the box would hold. He knows. Free drinks. When they are angry with you, simply say, "You seem upset. What's the matter?" Then smile. If that doesn't work, punch them in the throat. If somebody is talking and talking, giving you no chance to say what you want to say, drop something very loud on the floor, then begin to talk. I just imagined myself at someone's house dropping an antique vase or something just to get my voice heard like some kind of lunatic, and think that would be hilarious. Not really how to duck with someone, but if you're sitting on a bus or train and don't want someone sitting next to you, don't put your bag on the seat. Someone will ask you to move it so that they can sit down. Instead, as someone walks by, pat the empty seal whilst making direct eye contact with them and smiling. Works 9/10 times, but the one time it doesn't work, good luck. Edit. I know I put seal instead of seat, but I think it's funny so I refuse to change it. Edit 2. I know that you'll hate me for saying this, but thanks for the gold. It's my first ever and means a lot. Also, I didn't know that this would get so much attention, so thanks for the 6k upvotes as well. When they're talking, glance at something behind them. Go back to making eye contact immediately. Pause for a second, then glance at the same spot again, but make some subtle facial expression for a split second, like confused, concerned, intrigued, etc. They'll probably look back. If they do, ask them what they're looking at before they ask you. It's been proven that people will stand in a long queue, even if they have no idea what it is for. People do it all the time at festivals and things. Start a queue with your friends in front of a trash bin or something innocuous. Then everyone just casually walks away after a load of people not in on the joke join the end of the queue. Nursery rhymes. Hum a few bars, stop, then start a few bars later and repeat. If you pick one person and one song for that person, it can be quite annoying, especially done over a few days or weeks. Had a group of engineer overseers, 3 of them to be exact, that I would always use 3 blind mice every time they got close. Took them about 4 months to finally say please stop. Prolonged smiles. It stops people dead in their tracks. I personally love to do it when someone's chatting shit. You gaze directly into their eyes so they lock theirs on you in return, and then plaster a ginormous grin on your face. Sometimes it directly gives the message you are unimpressed and they stop. If they don't, you continue to maintain eye contact and smile the exact same way. They'll become increasingly uncomfortable and lose their train of thought. It's also good to use at random times. Sometimes I'll just smile for a long time at my friends and you're able to see them physically writhe in discomfort at it. Smiling in such a way gives people a massive sense of insecurity, no matter who you are, because you feel the spotlight has unexpectedly been turned on you and you don't know why. I had a friend that would casually eat a slice of American cheese while taking orders at a particularly rude table, and not say anything other than normally asking what they wanted to eat. Bite of cheese. It would immediately make the guy trying to impress his date by being awful to the server totally docile because it was so awkward. My favorite is the slight lean and making a face like you're farting. I only use it to duck with people. I don't actually fart. It'll derail any conversation. You can classically condition someone to associate 2 things pretty easily. Say a particular phrase whenever a certain song comes on and eventually they'll associate the 2. And always remember that phrase whenever they hear the song. My boss handles stress terribly, so in one-on-ones, he tends to snap and spend the hour complaining about people. Sometimes people end up getting chewed out or yelled at in a meeting that's supposed to be about their development. When I first began in my department, he noticed me putting on perfume and said his wife wears the same one. It's not anything fancy, just one that's widely known. Every time I go into my one-on-one with him, I apply the perfume right before. He generally speaks very softly to me and doesn't snap at me like he does with others. And I'm pretty sure it's because he smells me and thinks of his wife. Ducked up that it takes that to get a manager to treat you humanely, but it works. If you want to really mess with someone, go up to them and ask them, hey, do you ever get that creepy deja vu feeling? Then like a week later wear the same thing and ask them the same question. I've done this to so many people and their reactions are hilarious. Look distractedly at their nose or some part of their face. Then scratch or rub the corresponding part on your own face. They'll supposedly get confused and think they have something on them. This was from the book Mind Control, The Ancient Art of Psychological Warfare by the dubiously named Ha Lung. My emotionally unstable brother bought this book and I had to see what the hell he was actually reading. The author sounds like a nutcase through his writing. Kind of psychological. Pin a spread out banknote to a dartboard over the bullseye. Tell someone if they hit it 3 times, they keep it. If they lose, they owe you the equivalent amount. First shot, they stand a standard distance away. Second shot, they take a large step forward. Third shot, they take 2 large steps backwards. Sounds easy, but most will fail miserably. Adding real quick to the end of a request adds a sense of urgency that compels people to do whatever you tell them. Example, Dari, give me your wallet real quick. And before you know it, Dari hands you his wallet. If you have access to their computer, take a screenshot of their desktop and set that screenshot as their new desktop image. Then hide all the icons in a folder. They'll go nuts trying to click the images, but they're just part of the wallpaper. If you're close quartered with someone, you can intentionally choose one word out of the lexicon to mispronounce. Swear up and down that your way is the correct way, and the correct way is actually the wrong but popular version. After months of intentionally mispronouncing the word shrimp, my mother now says scrimp. It's been 2 years and I can't undo this. Help. That's wild. My father says Walmart instead of Walmart. I tried correcting him 100 times and obviously say Walmart myself, but he was always like, oh okay, Walmart, and never changed how he says it. Say have a good day and then follow it with something applicable only to them. Then watch them say thanks you too, only to realize what they said doesn't make sense. I do this with Uber Eats drivers all the time. Have a great day. Drive safe. Thanks. You too. Wait. I forget the exact study, but basically in an office setting you can tell anyone anything, and as long as it's on an official memo, anywhere between 60-80% will comply. I think in the study they had it as take this memo to an isolated room, and most people just did it. Wild stuff. I can make my pupils really big on command. It's some weird thing. So I'll be having a conversation both looking at each other, and slowly I'll begin to increase the size of my pupils until it's at the max, and the person I'm speaking to will kinda stop the conversation and be all like WTF. Offer somebody gum but don't take a piece for yourself. Look at the pack, flip it over, and say okay as you put it back into your pocket. When talking to them, stare at their nose, and when they ask why you're staring at their nose, tell them that you aren't. Tell your family you're going to get cigarettes, and then never come back. Psychologically duck em good. Immediately after they look at the time, ask them if they know what time it is. Chances are, they will have to look at the time again. With zero context, ask someone who did they tell you that to, then just watch as pure confusion washes over their face. The sentence means literally nothing and it is fantastic. Take a fake homework to school and ask them if they had done it. Yes. While in a conversation with someone, just smoothly hand something over. They will automatically take it, and vice versa. If you take something from their hand, they will automatically hand it over. When disagreeing with someone, try replacing but with and. It is remarkably disconcerting when the person you are arguing with stops arguing with you and you don't realize it. Call them something they are wearing by choice. Whatever you say. Turtleneck. Sure thing. Pink shorts. Yeah, that'll work. Coke ring. Stare at their forehead while they are talking. It really freaks people out. Jim was onto something. If you're eating with them, ask them a question as soon as they take a bite of food. When you get into an elevator with other people, don't turn around to face the doors. Best comment of the day. When I was a teenager, someone told me that I walked funny. I couldn't work out how, and so I tried changing my walk. Then I was walking funny and everyone was laughing at me. I tried changing it again and again for like a year. Then I lost the habit of natural walking and had to relearn it, which is much harder than it sounds. That guy was an evil genius.